Hi guys, how you doing? Stevie Buckley PT. So I wanted to make this video for everyone who feels like they're struggling to build muscle and are feeling a bit confused about how best to do it. I'm going to show my 8-year natural transformation and talk about the 5 things that I did consistently over that time to build muscle effectively. So the first thing I would say, guys, is just to not overcomplicate the process. It really is quite a simple, straightforward process if you understand what to do. So I would say just focusing on a few things consistently over time, and no matter how you look, how you feel your genetics are for building muscle, you can absolutely achieve great results and get the physique that you're looking for. My goal with this channel, guys, is to make short, no nonsense, no BS videos which are easy to understand, easy to follow, and easy for you guys out there to achieve your fitness goals. I want to help as many people achieve their fitness goals as possible. So if you appreciate that type of content, please show your support by subscribing to the channel and dropping the video a like if you find it helpful. Thanks, guys. So the first thing I've focused on over the years in order to build muscle effectively is having a good progressive training program. This is absolutely vital for getting results. If you're somebody who just goes into the gym and just does the same thing week in, week out and not thinking about progression, then you're just simply not going to build muscle and get results. So you have to be thinking about progressive overload. You have to be thinking about getting stronger over time. And that's what I've simply done is I've focused my training around big compound lifts and just aimed at getting stronger over time using progressive overload. Now, if you're a beginner and just starting out, I recommend, guys, that you take some time, invest some time in learning proper technique first before you start thinking about progressive overload, start thinking about adding load over time, because if you're a beginner and you start doing that straight away with poor technique, it's a recipe for disaster. It's likely you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to be using muscles that you're not supposed to be using throughout that lift. You're not going to be hitting the target muscle effectively, and it's likely you're going to hurt yourself. So it's really important that you spend some time, invest some time in learning the proper technique first. Learn about how to feel the target muscle work as well. It's really important when you're doing an exercise that you can actually feel the muscle that you're trying to target work properly. And once you can do this, once you get this down and you feel like you've got your technique down, then you can start thinking about progressive overload and start thinking about that progression which you do need in order to build muscle. But there's no time limit, as I said. Take it as long as you need, learn proper technique, feel the target muscle that you're trying to work effectively before you start thinking about progression. Now, the second thing I've focused on over the years in order to get results was my training intensity. This is absolutely key again for getting results and building muscle. You really have to be training hard, focusing on your training intensity. And I personally like to be pushing each set close to failure, within 1 rep of failure, and then in the last set I'll take that all the way to failure. Now, this is not the same for absolutely every exercise. If you're doing exercises such as deadlifts or squats, I don't recommend taking them anywhere near failure because it can be dangerous and you can hurt yourself. So you've got to watch with certain exercises. And if you're training more for strength, so if you're in the really low rep ranges, you know, between 1 and 3, 1 and 4, that type of rep range, then you've got to be really careful, and you don't want to be taking these anywhere near failure again because it's likely you can hurt yourself. But if you're focusing your training around hypertrophy, focusing your training on building muscle, and you're in the higher rep range, and for most exercises you can take these to within 1 rep of failure or close to failure in order to push, make sure you're pushing hard enough to elicit growth. Again, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, I don't recommend you think about this. I think you should think about your training technique. Make sure your training technique is absolutely perfect first, as mentioned before you start thinking about taking sets close to failure. Because if your technique's poor and you start pushing sets to failure, especially with the bigger compound movements, then it's likely, again, with bad technique, you're going to hurt yourself. So again, focus on proper technique first, and then you can start thinking about your training intensity and pushing sets to where they need to be in order to elicit growth. So the third thing I've focused on over the years, guys, is my hydration and my nutrition. This is, again, absolutely key. There's no way around it. If you've got poor nutrition and hydration, it's going to have a real negative knock-on effect to your results. What I personally like to do is what's called an 80-20 split with nutrition. I'll do 80% whole unprocessed foods and 20% whatever I want. Again, it's more of a flexible type diet, I find that this has just been the best way for me to stay consistent with over the years. As far as hydration, I'll just ensure that I'm drinking regularly throughout the day. I won't be tracking my water intake. I don't think you need to track your water intake. As long as you're drinking regularly throughout the day, then that'll ensure you're drinking enough to stay well hydrated. So the fourth thing I've focused on over the years in order to build muscle effectively is getting good quality sleep. Again, I believe so many people overlook the importance of getting quality sleep. This is when your body releases hormones to help with repair and recovery, and repair and recovery is absolutely vital for building muscle. Now, what I personally like to do is I like to go to bed each night at the same time, and I like to wake up in the morning each morning at the same time. This creates a really good circadian rhythm, and it really helps with getting good quality restful sleep. I'm aiming for about 7.5 to 8 hours sleep per night. If your sleep is limited, then so is your body's ability to repair and recover. And finally, guys, the fifth thing I've focused on over the years in order to build muscle effectively was my stress levels, keeping my stress levels low. Now, again, I believe so many people overlook this fact. A lot of people are more stressed than what they think they are. And if you are chronically stressed and you have high elevated stress, then it's likely you're going to have elevated cortisol levels as well. Now, cortisol is a hormone released by the body which directly increases muscle breakdown. It actually decreases nutrient uptake to the muscles, which helps with repair and recovery. And if you have chronic cortisol levels or chronic elevated cortisol levels over time, it can decrease your testosterone levels as well, which is your muscle building hormone, which is definitely not what we want. So for those obvious reasons, we want to keep our stress levels in check. That's it, guys. Those are the 5 things I've focused on over the years in order to build muscle effectively. As you can see, it's not a complicated process, so don't overcomplicate it. Just stick to the basics and stay consistent, and you can absolutely get great results. Now, obviously, everybody will build muscle at different rates, but just focus on you. Even if you feel like you've got poor genetics for building muscle, as long as you stick to the basics, stay consistent, and put in the effort, then you can always improve on you and get great results. Hope you found the video helpful, guys. If you did, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything I've said in the video today, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section down below and I'll get right back to you. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys.